All right, good morning, everyone. Sunday morning here, and I just wanted to make another video. And this time I wanted to talk about exactly why I decided to leave the Jehovah's Witness organization after being raised in the organization for 30 plus years and being baptized since 1996. So, as I mentioned in my previous video, I was disfellowshipped in August of 2014. And when I was disfellowshipped, I had the mindset that probably a lot of witnesses have when they're disfellowshipped or reproved, that I deserved the punishment, that it was a way to protect the congregation, and also it was a way to help me to get my life back on track. So that was the viewpoint I had. I went to the meeting where they announced me being disfellowshipped. And of course, I sat there while everybody gasped because I was a ministerial servant. I had just been on the assembly program not too long ago. So a lot of people were shocked. They didn't see it coming, which is understandable. But I also kept going to the meetings. After a couple months, I missed a couple months worth of meetings, and then I went back and I went to just about every meeting after that for over a year. So in August of 2015, I submitted a reinstatement letter, and I didn't hear back. October of 2014 was when I submitted the first reinstatement letter, and I didn't hear back for about a month. And when I did hear back from the brothers from my old congregation in Morristown, they just called me. Actually, I received a text first, and they said, "Are you available to talk around 8:30?" Well, I was actually headed to my meeting that night, so I told them, "I'm going to my meeting. Can we do it afterwards?" And they said, "Sure, no problem." I actually thought the call was just to set up meeting with me in person, the three of them. But that's not what it was. It was just to let me know that they met amongst themselves, and they decided that at this time they did not want to reinstate me. So it wasn't a long conversation, but I did ask. I said, "Okay, well, I don't want to keep wasting your time and my time. How long should I wait before resubmitting another reinstatement letter?" And they told me it's not about time. So at that point, I was kind of frustrated because you're telling me it's not about time, but you're not telling me why you decided not to reinstate me either. You really haven't seen me in a year. I've been going to a different congregation. So what are you basing it on? I didn't say that, but that was what I was thinking. And I actually said that to my parents later, and they kind of saw where I was coming from with that. In any case, I didn't get reinstated. I kept going to meetings. And then in March, I submitted another reinstatement letter. And that is my cat. Thanks, Max. Sorry about that. And again, I didn't hear back for over 2 months this time. And during that period of when I submitted my reinstatement letter is really when I made the decision that I no longer wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness. And this is how it happened. I was sitting at the meeting, and it was like right around the memorial. It was either the week after or the week before. And we were doing the Watchtower study, and it got to the paragraph, and I had read this before in the publications, where it started talking about how do you know whether or not you're of the 144,000 or the anointed. And of course, they never really answer it. They beat around the bush, so you never get a good answer, and I hated that. But then the part that really bothered me is the fact that they can see that the number of those partaking each year has gone up in the last probably 15 years. And I don't think that they like that. So they're trying to discourage people from partaking, which is a topic for another day. But they try to discourage that. And even with all the discouragement of you shouldn't partake if you're not 100% sure, the number's still going up, which I think is really telling. And that's something that I'll probably do another video about, just that topic. But I was sitting there And it just bothered me. It just rubbed me the wrong way. So I said something to my mom about it, and her response was the normal response. Oh, well, we need to trust the faithful and discreet slave. Whether it makes sense to us or not, we should just trust them, and they know best. Jehovah and Jesus trust them, which I think she pulled from a quote from a recent Watchtower, where it says that Jehovah and Jesus trust the faithful and discreet slave. Why shouldn't we? But I just think it's weird that that number has been going up, even with all the discouragement coming from the Watchtower that says you really shouldn't partake of it unless you're 100% clear. And then they go on the list reasons why people partake when they shouldn't, which they blame on mental illness or problems in their life here on earth and so forth. In any case, that's was a turning point for me. And it might seem like a little thing, and now looking back, it is, but I'm glad that I had that thought process, because that's what encouraged me to, you know what, forget this. I haven't heard from these brothers in over a month after I resubmitted my letter. I'm going to start researching. I'm going to start testing everything that they say to see whether it's true or not. So that's what I did. And I actually started just going back and trying to search keywords in the Watchtower library, because I still have one of the CD discs. I think it's 2013. So thanks, Max. Say hi. You're so annoying. And I was searching. So the first topic I wanted to research was 1914. And sure enough, I found a little bit of information that put enough doubt in my head that I was like, you know what? I bet you there's way more information. It's going to take me forever to find it all. So I'm going to do the unthinkable, according to the Watchtower organization, and I'm going to Google stuff online. And the first site I came to was the one created by Paul Grundy, JW Facts. So after reading, I read that site so fast. I mean, and just absorbed as much as I could. And the one area that I really focused on was 1914. And I found out that I always knew growing up that one of the reasons I had strong faith that Jehovah's Witnesses were the true organization was the fact that I read many times where they said decades in advance, Jehovah's Witnesses predicted 1914 as the year when Christ would begin ruling in heaven, and it would mark a changing point on the earth. And they would always use World War I as physical evidence that Satan was kicked out of heaven and Jesus really did come to power in 1914. So to me, that was big. Like, when I talk to kids in school about my beliefs, or at work, or just in general, that was something I always went to, because I felt like that was concrete, physical evidence that the Jehovah's Witnesses had the true religion, because they had predicted that so far in advance, and it had come true. However, when you actually look at the facts, that wasn't the case. They flat out lie to all of us regarding that. They didn't believe that 1914 was the beginning of Christ's kingdom, invisible kingdom rule in heaven. They believed that it was the end of the world, that Armageddon was going to happen in 1914, that the governments, the Christendom, and all that would be done away with, and they would be ushered in to heaven, because they didn't even have a great crowd at the time, which I didn't know. So that just got the ball rolling, and it was just an avalanche after that of information. Not just the false prophecies for 1914, but the fact that they believe that the last days started in 1799, and that Christ started ruling actually in 1874, that 1914 was going to be the end of the system of things, that 1925 was going to be the end of the system of things. Then you find out about Beth Serene and the mansion they bought to welcome back Abraham and Isaac and other faithful ones recorded in the Bible. None of this is facts that I knew growing up in the Jehovah's Witness organization, and everybody is 100% correct. Jehovah's Witnesses do not know these facts, because that was the first time I actually tested what they were saying and actually compared it to the facts. You just take their word for it, which is very, very indicative of a cult. And I always denied that we were a cult. So, yeah, where were we at? 1925, Beth Serene. Then 1975. And there was other dates that I'm off the top of my head. These are just the big ones that really affected me personally. There was a quote leading up to 1975 that sticks in my head, that a young person will not reach adulthood or something like that, or will not become old in this system of things because the end is so close. So they present this as facts. I think some quotes used when they're making these predictions are established fact, God's dates, not ours. But then later they put the blame on the brothers that and sisters that took this information as fact, as it was presented, and then were let down and discouraged and left. They put the blame on them, which to me is disgusting. If you're going to make a mistake, you own it. And I'd have a lot more respect for the organization if instead of putting the blame on others, they would just come out flat out and say, you know what, we were dead wrong. We should have never made a prophecy. We should have never tried to mislead people. We regret it and we apologize, and we're going to work hard not to let that happen again. I probably would still be in the organization because I can understand people making mistakes. And I can respect somebody that makes a mistake and just acknowledges it and tries to get better. But it's disgusting to me that they can't own it. I just can't stand that. It's so hypocritical and phony and fake. But the other big things that really convinced me to leave, their relationship with the UN. For 10 years, they were a non-governmental organization associated with the United Nations. And I have nothing against the United Nations, except for the fact that my whole life I was told that they were the disgusting thing in the book of Revelation, and we were supposed to loathe them. We must have studied the Revelation book 3 or 4 times as a kid, so I was very well aware of the stance society had on the United Nations. And then you compare that to the book that Raymond Franz wrote in Crisis of Conscience, where he talks about what the brothers in Malawi had to go through to remain politically neutral. I mean, they lost their lives. The women were raped. The children were raped. They were killed. Mass genocide simply because they wouldn't carry a political card. They weren't being asked to do anything when it came to war or anything. All they had to do was hold a political card, and they would have been fine. But the Watchtower told them, you can't do that. While at the same time, the brothers in Mexico were bribing government officials to get a similar type of card. It was just so disgusting to me. And then you have the nerve to be a non-governmental organization associated with the charter of the UN, and you're telling these brothers that they're not politically neutral if they get that card. Disgusting, hypocritical, gross. That actually makes me angry. Then you study a little bit further and you find out, oh, look at that. The Australian Royal Commission, 1,006 cases of hidden child abuse from the authorities. People that are the cause of this horrible crime, the pedophiles, they're the ones that are just being protected, not the innocent children and families. No, the pedophiles are protected because they don't want that to look, they don't want that making the organization look bad. They tell you it's about bringing reproach on Jehovah's name. They don't care about Jehovah's name. They care about the organization, and they didn't want to be lumped in with the Catholic Church because they hate the Catholic Church. So they'd rather protect the pedophile than the child. And my blood boils thinking about it. So those are the main reasons that I decided that this religion, not only is it not the truth, but it's disgusting. And the fact that they don't admit it, and everything that may make them look bad, even if it's true, they classify it as apostate lies. It's disgusting. And then there's so, like, I could keep talking for probably hours on the amount of hypocrisy within the Jehovah's Witness organization. But those are the things that come to my mind right away, and those are the things that really stick with me and disgust me about the organization. So I came to these conclusions not long after I submitted my second reinstatement letter. But at that time, I had just submitted, when I submitted my first letter, I wrote like a nice long paragraph of the changes I made and what I was doing, just briefly, so that they had an idea, if they met with me, what they were going to hear from me. Well, when I submitted my second letter, I was already to the point where I was thinking about researching this. And I submitted the letter, and it just was one line: brothers, I would like to be considered for reinstatement. So I submitted that. I didn't hear back for a few weeks. Then I did this research, and I came to the conclusion that I don't want to go back to this organization. So I prayed. I prayed to God, and I said, God, I really just want to do what's right, and I want the truth. So if this stuff is the truth that I discovered, then I want to make a change, and I don't want to be part of this organization. But if this stuff is wrong, show me. Give me a sign. Give me anything. So I had a meeting that night when I made that prayer, and I said, Jehovah God, I was still calling him Jehovah at the time because it's just so ingrained in me, but I try to just call him Heavenly Father because I'm starting to change my beliefs about who God is, and I can talk about that in a future video. I still believe that his name was Jehovah, but I think research proves that the more accurate name is Yahweh. And since the name isn't even, the tetragrammaton isn't even really in the New Greek scriptures, I don't think it's in there once, even though the Watchtower Society puts it in there. I still am just like programmed to say Jehovah, and it drives me crazy. And it's not that I hate the name or anything, it's just like it's programmed into me. But in any case, I prayed to God. I said, you know what? You're all powerful, and you know that my heart's sincere, and I just want the truth. If this is the true religion, just have one of these brothers contact me and set something up with me. They don't need to like meet with me tonight. Just have them contact me like they did last time with a text, hey Josh, when are you available? Or have somebody at the hall just come up to me and be like, Josh, we got your letter. We turned it into the brothers in Morristown. You should be hearing from them shortly. If I had gotten any of that, I would have viewed that as a sign that God was saying, you know what, don't give up on this religion. They have their flaws, but don't give up. That didn't happen. So I talked to my girlfriend, Kate, and she said, why don't you pray that same prayer at least one more time and see if anything happens. So that coming Sunday, I did the same thing. Nothing happened. At that point, I was just like, I'm done. And I met with my parents, and I told them all my beliefs of what I learned. And they basically said, you're an apostate, get out of my car. I was with my dad at the time because I talked to my mom over the phone, but I met with my dad in person, and I was in his car. When I told him all this, and I said, I can show you the evidence, he said, you're an apostate, get out of my car. A few days later, he did write me an email apologizing for the way he acted, but also telling me and reaffirming that they weren't going to talk to me anymore because they had been kind of lax as far as their communication with me while I was disfellowshipped. And then I got a letter from my mom saying the same thing, that they weren't going to talk to me and to stop breaking her heart and Jehovah's heart. So it was hard to read that and know that I am hurting her, but I can't do the wrong thing. I couldn't just get reinstated so I could have communication with my family because I wasn't going to meet with those brothers and tell them what they wanted to hear. I'm tired of living a lie. So I gathered all the evidence, all articles from their own publications. That's what I used. Wrote a letter, gave it to my parents. I never heard back from them. So I'm sure they got it. Whether or not they read through it, I don't know. I pray that they did. So weeks go by. I don't hear anything from the elders regarding the last letter I submitted. I had not been going to meetings anymore, and I had figured that they would just leave me alone. Well, this past week, after I put up my first video on YouTube, I get a text from Jens, one of the elders in my old congregation. Hey, Josh, we received your letter, and we would like to meet with you. So I said back in a smart ass kind of way, I said, well, why would you waste your time now? And my thinking was, they already know I haven't been to a meeting in like a month. My brother's in that congregation. He's close with my parents. I'm sure my parents have told them what I told them and showed them the information that I sent to them regarding how Jehovah's Witnesses is a false organization with all their false prophecies and their scandals. So I know they know this, but they like to act dumb, and I hate that. So when I said, why waste your time, that's what I was saying without saying it. So he responds, and this time he adds Lou and Bruce, the other two elders that were on my judicial committee. And he says, Josh, basically he says, we would like to meet with you. Why would you consider, is there something that would make it a waste of time in your view? And I'm not going to give him like anything over text. So I just said, well, you brothers were able to come up with a decision last time without meeting with me. Why not come up with a decision this time? I was like, the three of you already know that I haven't been to a meeting in a month based on the fact that you are in contact with the brothers in my Medford congregation. And one of your brothers, Bruce, is very good friends with an elder in the Medford congregation, Steve. So I don't see the point in meeting with you Friday evening at 6:30 when I already know the decision you're going to give me, and you already know it. And I said, why don't you just take that time to spend with your family? And I put that in there just to like make them think like you took my family away. I just wanted that in there. I don't know if they understood what I was doing. They are pretty smart guys. One's a VP of Coca-Cola. One runs his own company, and the other one runs his own company. They have money. They live in a real nice area in South Jersey. They got money. They're smart guys. So I know that they probably figured out what I was saying. So he responds, okay, we'll let you know. Well, a couple days later, he calls me, and I miss his call, so he leaves me a voicemail. So I text him the next day. I really didn't feel like talking because I can think so much better with my responses over text. So I text him the next day, and I say, Jens, I don't want you to think that I'm being difficult or rude or anything. You can disregard my letter. I have no desire to meet with a judicial committee, and I don't. And then I said, if any of you would like to meet with me as a friend to see how I'm doing, I would appreciate that. And of course, the response was, we respect your decision not to meet with us. You know we can't meet with you one-on-one. And I didn't even respond. I just said, okay, thank you. So that was that. And as I said in my previous video, I'm glad of the decision I make. I still research a ton because it's comforting to me to continue to get confirmation that I'm making the right decision. I still read the Bible. Actually, I read the Bible more now than I ever have. I still believe in God. I still believe in Christ Jesus. I still believe in the Holy Spirit. I consider myself a Christian. I'm not associated with any organization, nor do I have any intentions of joining another organization. I may attend some non-denominational Christian churches that some of my friends go to. But to me personally, I feel like the most important thing is just to follow Jesus. And I really believe that organizations, especially the large mainstream ones like Jehovah's Witnesses and so forth, I really feel like they're a block between having a good relationship with God, because you're really putting all your trust in man. Whereas if you're on your own, you really have no choice but to put your trust in Jesus. So that's all for this video. I'm going to probably make another video today with my girlfriend, Kate. I wanted to do like an interview with her to get an outsider's perspective on what it's like to be associated or date a Jehovah's Witness, or to be have a close relationship with one, just what they see from the outside. And she also studied for I think she did about 6 weeks of Bible study with somebody in another congregation that my mom set up. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and just some of the things that she experienced with Jehovah's Witnesses. So I hope you enjoy this video. I want to say thank you to all of you that commented on the 2 videos I posted last week. I mean, I was really overwhelmed. And if I haven't responded to you yet, I do intend to. Thank you for your comments. Very much appreciated. I can't tell you how much it means to me to see that there's such a large community of good, honest-hearted ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who just really want to help people. And I think we just need to keep this ball rolling. So thank you for all your support and your comments and the love you've thrown my way. And a special shout out to my friends who watched the video. Matt W, Matty Ice, J Hole, Justin, Mikey C. If you haven't found my videos, I'm sure you will. We got a little thing where he thinks he can find my videos without me telling him the name of the videos. And also, Kate, I love you. We'll do your video soon. I'll talk to you guys later.